I get it, you've probably seen those cheap, off-the-shelf UPS units on the clearance bin that promise keep your gear alive for a couple of dollars. Most of the time they look good on paper, but when the power flickers and you actually need that backup, they either shut down or scream battery low within minutes. That's the regret many of us feel after a bargain hunt, and it's why I'm a little more cautious when I'm looking at something like a rack-mount UPS for a server room or a small office. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Vertiv Liebert PSI5 1500 1350W UN is marketed as a 1500VA 1350W line interactive UPS that fits into a single rack unit. At first glance the specs sound solid: a 0.9 power factor, AVR, automatic voltage regulation, and the promise of remote management with an RDU 120 card. But the real question is whether that translates into a smarter purchase compared with the cheaper alternatives that often end up as paperweights. First off, who should actually consider this unit? If you run a modest server farm, a network closet with a handful of switches, or a small voice-over IP PBX that needs uninterrupted power for a few hours, the PSI5's 1500VA rating gives you enough headroom to keep those devices online long enough to shut them down gracefully. It's also a decent fit for a dedicated workstation or a high-end desktop that you can't afford to lose a minute of work on. Think CAD designers, video editors, or traders who need that peace of mind during a market swing. On the flip side, if you're only looking to back up a single home PC or a router, you'll likely be overpaying. The 1U rack form factor is great for data centers but unnecessary for a bedroom setup. Likewise, enterprises that need megawatt-scale backup or long-run hours should look at larger, modular UPS solutions rather than this mid-range unit. One practical strength that shows up in real-world deployments is the space-saving design. In a 42U rack, every unit counts, and being able to tuck a UPS into a single slot frees up room for additional servers or storage. The front panel is clean and the LED indicators give you an instant read on line, battery, and overload status without having to open the chassis. For admins who already use a remote management platform, the optional RDU 120 card means you can monitor load, battery health, and even perform graceful shutdowns via SNMP or the web interface. That reduces the need to walk up to the rack every time the UPS alarms, which is a genuine productivity saver. However, the trade-off for that compact size is the limited runtime on battery alone. At full load, you're looking at roughly 8 to 10 minutes before the battery is exhausted, enough time to initiate a proper shutdown, but not enough if you need to keep critical services running through a prolonged outage. If your environment experiences frequent, extended brownouts, you'll want a UPS with a larger battery pack or the ability to hot swap batteries without taking the unit offline. The PSI5 doesn't support hot swap battery modules, so you'd have to shut down the UPS to replace them, which can be a hiccup in a high availability scenario. Another point where the PSI5 stands out is its high power factor of 0.9. In many data center environments, a low power factor can cause your utility bill to balloon because utilities charge for reactive power. A 0.9 factor keeps the apparent power close to the real power you're actually using, meaning you're not paying extra just because of inefficiencies. In practice, that translates to a modest reduction in operating costs over time, especially if you're running the UPS at near full load on a regular basis. But there are practical weaknesses too. The line interactive AVR is decent, but it's not a full double conversion design, so during severe voltage sags the output voltage may still drop slightly. Most users won't notice this unless they have particularly sensitive equipment that demands a perfectly stable sine wave, for example, high-end audio production gear or certain legacy medical devices. In those cases, a true online UPS would be safer, albeit more expensive and larger. Programmable outlets are another feature worth mentioning. The unit lets you set a delay on when each outlet powers up after the UPS restores utility power. This is handy in a rack where you want your networking equipment to come online first, then your servers, preventing a cascade of inrush currents that could trip the UPS's overload protection. I've seen this work well in small to medium businesses that stagger power-on sequences to avoid a sudden power spike when the mains return. From a maintenance perspective, the battery is user-replaceable but not hot-swappable, as mentioned earlier. The manuals stress regular battery testing and replacement every 3 to 5 years, which is standard for most UPS units. If you're comfortable scheduling a brief maintenance window once a year to check battery health, that's manageable. If you need truly zero downtime battery replacement, you'll need to look elsewhere. The upside of the PSI5's remote management is also a bit of a double-edged sword. While